Have you ever stood across from a dude that has like super long nose hairs? Like they're so long that they essentially become a part of the dude's mustache. Sometimes when the dude is breathing in or out, you can actually see the nose hairs kind of shiver. At times you can even see particles of dust hitching a ride on the nose hairs. Like honestly, I don't think anybody should be forced to wear a face mask, but maybe some people should. Anyways, all jokes aside, in today's video, I thought it would bring something up to your guys' attention. It's not something groundbreaking. It's not anything to like rattle anybody necessarily, but it's just something that I noticed that was pretty interesting, and that is the newest Marvel Legends, essentially like the Spider-Man Marvel Legends or the Spider-Man Universe Legends that were released earlier this week have not sold out. And I'm recording this on the night of the 13th, which is technically one day, or I should say a day and almost a day and a half later from the original pre-order window. These went live on November 12th at 11 a.m. here locally. I didn't pre-order these figures until the next day at like 7 to 8 p.m. And I should clarify, I only picked up 2 of these figures. I may circle back around if I change my mind and pick up a couple more, but I just picked up the 2 that I desperately wanted from this particular wave. But it's really interesting that these have not sold out just yet, at least from most of the major retailers. And I should clarify, this video might not age very well, and you have to take into consideration that I still have to like edit the entire video, record it, and then, you know, cut some things out here and there. So that takes maybe a day or two from time to time. It just depends on how long the video is, but it's not like I can just record and upload it within the same time frame. So I'll probably still be editing it, and probably the video, I'm gonna assume it goes up either on the 14th or the 15th. So by then, I'm pretty sure most figures will start to sell out on different websites, but as of the moment of me recording this, only 2 figures have sold out, and both of those came from Entertainment Earth, and I believe it was the Spider-Man Unlimited as well as the Agent Venom. But that's it. Everywhere else, these figures are still available, which is really interesting because Amazon is usually the first one to sell out. I'm not 100% sure why. I'm going to assume that it's because of the free shipping. Like, I was able to pre-order 2 figures that are released on the exact same date. They're not multiples or duplicates, I should say. They're just 2 figures that are released on the exact same day, and I was able to get free shipping on both of those. Whereas and I know a lot of people suggest like the Big Bad Toy Store, but you know, you should clarify, it's only if you decide to do the loot option, where you kind of, they hold the action figures there at their facility, and then they eventually just ship everything to you in one box, and I think you can save on shipping that way. But if you're a hardcore collector like myself, you just want the figures in hand, and you pre-order through Big Bad Toy Store, you're gonna have to pay separately for each individual action figure, if I'm not mistaken, because I just pre-ordered something recently and I paid $4 shipping for each one of those figures. So unless you do the loot option, you're gonna have to pay for shipping. Same thing with Entertainment Earth. I believe they have like a limit where you get free shipping, but it's a similar situation. It's mostly, if I remember correctly, in stock merchandising. That might have changed, but last time I purchased from them, which was a while ago, that was a key feature. Those items had to be like in stock for you to get the free shipping option. So usually Amazon is just the first one that sells out, but as of the moment of this recording, almost everything was still available at Entertainment Earth, Big Bad Toy Store, Amazon, and GameStop. And I believe Best Buy was just about to have their pre-order window opened up, so I'm going to assume that all of their stock is still available, which I repeat is absolutely insane. It feels just like maybe half a year ago we were talking about how some of these collectibles were just flying off of you know, the digital shelves, if you will. It was very difficult to get McFarlane action figures or Marvel Legends or any of the main line OMs. It was just very difficult. I mean, I remember taking screenshots of like, you know, 10, 20 figures in a row that were all sold out and would sell out literally within minutes, sometimes within a couple of hours of the actual release date. Now, there are a number of different possibilities here, and I don't think that those are necessarily realities. For example, some people might float around the idea that they decided to mass produce or overproduce these action figures. I have a problem with believing that, because that just doesn't make sense. Over the past few years, it seems like they've been cutting down on how many action figures they produce. They don't want this stuff going on sale. They don't want to go out on clearance. It's a really bad look, and their profit margins are going to be really hurt. So I don't think that that's a real world possibility. The possibility that to me strikes me the most is that potentially collectors are just being more selective. They realize that this entire wave was just very disappointing. Whether it's like the female Electro, which nobody loves that female body mold, it's frustrating. They need to update it. It does come with like some really cool effects, but aside from that, it's not a marquee character. Not many people are interested in it. I think it would have been better suited as like a store exclusive. You also have the new Spider-Man Unlimited action figure, which looks great. I mean, it's going to display great. I love the paint. I love the scheme on this figure, but it's on an older Spider-Man body mold, which makes absolutely no sense. The Agent Venom looks phenomenal as well, but it's a retooling of a really old body mold. If that bothers you, it's definitely not going to be something for you. And the list goes on. You have Spider-Boy, who's using that ugly old body mold. Actually, it's not even that old. It's from across the universe, but it's a body mold that had a bunch of issues. No butterfly joints, that single hinge at the mid torso, which just makes absolutely no sense. It makes the figure look hideous when it's actually articulated or hunched over. So it's starting to make me believe that the consumers are standing up for themselves, and I honestly, I respect them for that. I find that that's something that I think the community needs to do more. If they feel like something just isn't adding up or there isn't enough value there, even if it's a source material that they're kind of fond of or they like, it's good that the community is still kind of holding their ground here, and they're being very selective in what they're purchasing. As I said, back in the day, Spider-Man action figures would just fly off the shelf regardless of what the source material was, regardless of what they were based on, whether it was the MCU or any comic books. They usually sold out incredibly quickly, and so as I said, it makes me believe that the community is just being smarter with their money, with their purchases. As I mentioned earlier, I do expect these to sell out eventually within the next few days. Within like a week or so, I do expect most of the mainline retailers to be sold out on these figures. I don't think that they're going to stay in stock, but it really speaks volume on how much time it's taking for these figures to sell out. Another thing worth mentioning is these figures are like half a year away. I think they're supposed to be starting to ship some of these figures out in April. That's like 5 months, that's almost half a year. So maybe that delay means that they can kind of give themselves a wider window or a larger period of time for them to be able to either mass produce or have a bigger production, a bigger load of these, or maybe kind of shrink down the order a little bit. I don't know how the production or the turnaround time for these figures is, but I doubt that they can make any real changes within the span of like a couple of months. All of the orders are already set in. All of the retailers already know kind of an average amount of figures that they're going to receive. So I don't think that, a few months or a few weeks is really going to make a difference. So I don't think that really plays a role here. I will say this also adds fuel to the fire here, because for the longest time, people have been predicting that potentially Hasbro is going to lose the Marvel Legends license or the Marvel license or maybe even the Star Wars license. And so this, I feel like, just adds even more fuel to the fire. Like, why isn't Hasbro continuing to be innovative or creative with some of their releases? Why aren't we getting any of the new body molds? Why aren't we getting any new accessories? It feels like, like maybe dozens of figures before we get anything new, anything that we haven't seen before. And like I said, all of those people speculating about Hasbro potentially losing the license look at stuff like this, for example, and they realize that everything is either a re-release or they're reusing really old body molds with like just pinless tech. That's all we're really getting here. A lot of us genuinely thought that if we got a Spider-Boy action figure, because it's a brand new character, we would get a brand new Spider-Man body mold, but that's not the case at all. We're just getting a new rehashed body mold. So like I said, it's just something really interesting to pay attention to, especially in this time frame where it seems like every other OM is just retooling or reusing the same body mold. I was watching a video the other day, and this has more to do with McFarlane, but they mentioned that they had used like that Blue Beetle body mold like over 30 times at this point. It's crazy to think that. I mean, this is a huge OM with a license with, this type of magnitude. Like, you would think that they would invest more into the body mold, into the new accessories, into giving us something innovative and creative. And even though McFarlane has been known to do that from time to time, for them to be reusing a body mold over 30 something times within the span of like 3 to 4 years is absolutely mind-boggling. But again, it adds to that. The people that are speculating, the people that are beginning to think that a lot of these OMs are going to lose the licenses, point to things like this? Why aren't we getting anything new? Why aren't we getting updates to a lot of the characters or action figures that we're receiving? And I think that kind of plays into maybe one of the main reasons why these figures are not selling out. We're consistently seeing them just sit on digital shelves for a long extended period of time. And I think as time goes by, as we get deeper into the next year or so, I think we may see that continue to be a trend where a lot of these big time characters, a lot of these big time names are just sitting on digital shelves. But I think a lot of that has to do with the OMs. I think this is a great stand that the consumer is making here by saying, hey, if you're not giving us anything new, if you're going to continue reusing old tech, the same accessories, giving us the same exact body mold with slight little tweaks here and there, we're just not going to purchase them. We're going to allow them to sit on there. We're going to let you panic for a long stretch of time, especially considering you're the one putting yourself in this situation. There are a lot of different OMs that have fallen into this pit of despair, and it's their own fault. And some of it doesn't just have to do with them reusing these body molds or the accessories or what have you. A lot of it has to do with them just mishandling certain situations, like the new Joker set piece, which people are losing their minds over, where McFarlane completely overpriced that set. And then we had the whole NECA debacle, which continues to be at the forefront of a lot of different conversations or a lot of different videos. It's all very fascinating, and I think all of that is really just to showcase how little value these OMs tend to have for their consumer base. Sometimes these are the people that are elevating you to a new level. They're helping you your company or your entire brand flourish, and yet you're turning around and disrespecting them by either not giving them any new product, essentially just rehashing the same old nonsense, or just disrespecting them outright by just not handling certain situations professionally, or just completely overpricing certain items or certain collectibles. But only time will tell what is going to happen in the foreseeable future. There was a time when there were a lot of consumers that would just buy anything that was, if you were a Hasbro guy or if you were a Marvel Legends guy, you would buy anything Marvel Legends. Same thing with the DC Multiverse, same thing with any other OM. Like, there were people that just bought everything rapidly because they wanted the OM to be marginally successful in this industry. I think we're starting to see a shift. There are still people that are hardcores, but there are a lot of people that are being more selective and just waiting to see if something is actually worth their money, rather than just throwing down the money for a pre-order and then figuring that out later. So, as I said, this is my personal humble opinion. I just wanted to bring this to your guys' attention. Like I said, nothing big, nothing groundbreaking, but I just wanted to let you guys know. I think these pre-orders lasted, or are going to last, available within like maybe a week or two, which is a pretty drastic change, especially if we compare it to how it was maybe like 6-7 months ago, where everything was selling out. It's just a very interesting situation. Let me know your thoughts down below. Did you guys pick up any of these figures? Do you plan on pre-ordering any of them? What are your thoughts on the overall situation in the action figure industry? Thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, if you guys enjoy this type of rambling content, make sure to stay tuned. We do upload at like 3 to 4 different times on a weekly basis. And as always, the most important part of all of this, just enjoy the hobby. Enjoy your action figures, pose them, photograph them, have fun with them. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.